we want everybody to know that um, Audi is not willing to take ownership when a car fails. If my car had 75,000 miles, I could totally understand that things fail, something happens, but at 58,000 miles, it's not right. My goal is to make everybody aware, our goal is to make everybody aware of what we're going through, and hopefully Audi sees this and makes this right for us.
My name is Ryan Robar,
And I'm Maria Robar.
and we bought two brand new Audis from McKenna Audi in 2017, an A5 and a TT. We also purchased the um, service contract, so we had all the services done by an authorized Audi dealership. Some were at McKenna, most of them were at Valencia Audi. After the last service that we had with the A5, 8,000 miles later, the engine at the 58,000 mile, the car started jerking, making a lot of noise, zero power. We pulled over, got it towed back to Audi Valencia, and after about 2 or 3 weeks of going back and forth, they let us know that the engine needed to be replaced. They never did tell us.
Sorry, let me interrupt. So we took the car to Audi Valencia and there was no communication. They couldn't tell us what was wrong with the car. So after multiple times of emailing and calling and text message, they finally let us know that there was a faulty cylinder and that we were going to need a new engine. So I was really confused because the car had 58,000 miles and the last service was at 50,000 miles. So at that point, my husband decided, well, let me call Audi USA to see if they can look into this and maybe help us. So my husband was back and forth with Audi USA via emails, via phone calls, 2 hour wait, a lot of times like unable to get a hold of them. He was finally able to talk to someone, and the person verbally told him over the phone, let me look into this issue. We will most likely take care of the maintenance on this for you. So that was fantastic. Then a few days later, right, him? A few days
Yes.
later, they sent an email saying that they would only cover for half of the cost. So half of the cost, we have no idea what that was. So we contacted Audi contacted us, Audi Valencia, the dealership, and said, "Hey, do you authorize the service? It's going to be $16,000 for a new motor." And again, we were confused because Audi USA said they were going to be in touch with the dealership. So we told them that, and they said, no, we haven't heard from Audi USA. So we gave them the case number, and they said they were going to look into it. So then we never heard back from anybody again. And then when they finally called us back and they said that the car was going to be ready and we were going to be responsible for half of it. So we were confused as to why, we were confused as to why it changed from we're going to take care of the entire maintenance to then only taking care of half of it. We then picked up the car, paid the $8,700, picked up the car, drove it home, went to dinner. We couldn't get back home. The car broke down. We turned the car on. We never left the parking lot. We turned the car on, it was hissing, steam was coming out of the car. We had to get the car towed back to Audi Valencia. So we towed it back at, midnight because we had trouble with AAA. They didn't show up until like 11 o'clock at night. From 7 until 11, we had to wait. When we finally towed it back, there was nowhere to leave the car secured. So we just parked it in front of the dealership and we took the keys with us. The next morning, as soon as they opened, I went to drop off the keys and they told me that they could not, I waited there. They told me that they could not recreate the hissing noise or the steam noise. They did a 12-point multi-point inspection and the car was fine. So I waited for my husband to come. He came. We talked to the service manager. Um, and that's when he told us, this is, um, I think I'm jumping ahead a little. I want to back up a little. When we were with the $16,000 service, when we showed up to pick up the car, Emerson, the service manager, came out to talk to me because I was trying to use a 20% coupon that they had mailed us and they couldn't honor it. So at that point, he says, I'm sorry, I can't honor it. And I took the opportunity to talk to him and ask him, like, why did this happen? He said in his own words, and the service reception, Jennifer Lopez was there and she witnessed the conversation. He said, it is very unusual to see a car needing a new motor at 58,000 miles. I don't see this until the car has 150,000 miles. He said that twice, and Jennifer Lopez witnessed the conversation. So when we paid the money, we left. They said that nothing else was going to be needed on the car until 10,000 miles for an oil change and then 30,000 miles for the next service. So we left, right? Then that's when we drove home, and then that same day we had the issue with the car. And back to now, they're doing the 12-point inspection, and they still can't find why the car is hissing and there's steam coming out.
And I also took a video of in the parking lot when it first happened, so they saw and heard what was going on with the car. Um, so they had some type of a documentation of what was going on. But again, they couldn't figure out what was going on and said the car was fine.
So I asked for something in writing saying that they did a 12-point inspection. They provided me with that. So I left. I drove out of the parking lot. Not even 5 minutes away, the AC stopped working. So I made a U-turn, came back to the dealership, spoke to Jennifer Lopez again, and she said, that's weird because I drove out the car and the AC was working. So I sat down again and waited. And she came out and she says, we can't look at your car today because it's Saturday. We'll look at your car on Monday. But the tech just came out to tell me that there is a leak on the AC. So we left again with no car. So we had the car for not even a full day. So we left. Um, and then
And then when we came back on Monday, they called and said the car was ready. When we came back, they said that there was a pinched O-ring in the connection when they took the motor out and put it back in. And they installed the O-ring, recharged the system, and we were fine. And we still were talking to them about the warranty issue. They said the only warranty that the car is going to have is just with the motor, and it's only 12 months or 12,000 miles. And we were trying to get a better understanding, and they told us that when you buy a brand new car, that you get 4 years, 50,000 miles, and they only do that to make the customer feel comfortable and secure that the car is not going to break down. But with us, it's a brand new motor. It's only 12 months or 12,000 miles, and then we asked them if it breaks down again, will you pay for the tow to come back? Because we're using all these tows back and forth. We're using our AAA, which is going to start costing us money. And they flat out said, no, that is your responsibility to get the car back to the dealership, even though it's still the motor still had the 12 months or 12,000 miles.
So Ryan has been in communication with Audi USA via email. Courtney is, I guess they put her ahead, and she's the one that's corresponding with us back and forth. We've had, I don't know, maybe 6 emails back and forth, and they're basically just saying manufacturer is 4 years or 50,000 miles. That's all we can do. So we keep pushing back, and they're saying that they're basically a roadblock. She's saying that it's the manufacturer, that they were generous enough to offer us the half off. They paid $8,000, which I don't see how they paid that because it's nowhere on our invoice that we received does it show that they paid for 8,000. It only shows that we paid $8,711. So I am emailing Courtney back and forth and saying, if you're saying that the manufacturer is issuing a 4-year 50,000 mile, there should be some kind of disclaimer on the sticker that would say, after the 50,000 miles, be ready to install a new motor, because they're not disclosing that. So that's where we're not asking for much. We're asking for an extended warranty or give us at least part of the labor back for the $8,000 that we paid. We shouldn't have paid that much labor. We're asking for anything, and they are just a roadblock right now. They put Courtney in front, and she's saying that she is in charge of all the social media, and she is in charge of everything that the executives see, which I don't believe so. I think that she's just being put on the front lines so that you don't try to communicate with anybody else.
And the other major problem is when we got the receipt after we picked the car up the first time, looking through the invoice, didn't really understand it. We showed it to an AFC certified mechanic, and on the receipt, it shows that they removed cylinder and then reinstalled cylinder, which when I've talked to Audi USA and Emerson, they said I was getting a brand new motor from the dealership,
With all the
from
components.
Audi USA, and that says to me the whole motor and everything. But it doesn't, even at this point, I don't think we have a new motor in there. I think we have maybe new pieces, and they just reassembled it after they tore it apart. And that has not been cleared up.
Yeah, I think that they cleaned up the cylinder and they put it back in. And if the cylinder is what caused the motor to go bad, I feel like we're in the same, it's going to be a matter of time where we're going to have the same exact issue. And I just don't think it's fair that at 58,000 miles, a car needs a new motor. I feel like, and their service manager, Emerson Flores, the service manager told us that this is unusual. So how is Audi USA not able to take their service managers' disclosed information and do something about it?
And I can also understand if I bought a brand new car that had never been touched and did all the services myself, or took it to the local gas station to have all the services done. Who knows exactly what happened as far as the service and the maintenance of that car? And if it doesn't last a very long time, it could be falling back on the owner's responsibility. But this car was never touched by anybody except an authorized Audi dealership. So at 58,000 miles, it is not acceptable for paying over $52,000 for a vehicle and not having it only last until 58,000 miles.
We would like to say to Audi USA, make this right. Make this right. We are not happy. These cars are expensive. You should back your cars and your loyal customers.
This is our third Audi that we've bought, and one of the things that when Audi USA talked to me at the first time is the email that I wrote, I put on there, I think Audi should buy this car back. And the 2 hours I was on hold, I was able to write that email, send it, and actually get a confirmation code. So when I first talked to Victoria from Audi, she saw the email, she read it, and she says, well, if you're going to go with a lawyer and trying for us to buy it back, there's nothing else I can do. But there is another option of a goodwill repair. So I asked her what that was because I wasn't aware of what that meant. And she said that Audi would take care of the repair costs. I said, great. If you're going to do that, that would keep me an Audi customer, and we'll just go from here. At that point, after that comment, there was nothing that Audi USA would say except you just have to contact the dealership. So the dealership is the one that told us they would only cover 50%. So again, in my mind and my understanding, Audi USA said that they would cover the cost. Valencia Audi somehow got us to pay half of the repair cost. So I really don't know if Valencia Audi actually got the total payment from Audi USA to cover everything, and then we still were on the hook for 50%. So again, even when I called back Audi USA, there was no communication on why.